what startups that you see right now sort of emulate Apple's culture and what Apple, what Apple did? Are there any?
Well, rather than, I mean, I'm often really deficient in my knowledge of Silicon Valley startups because I don't have the time to pay attention to many of them. And I think to be an expert on startups, you have to at least approach having an encyclopedic knowledge of what's going on the way a venture capitalist would, for example. So, but I'll tell you about some that I've written about. Because there's some that are being obvious about it. So two that come to mind are, one is Square, which has hired a lot of Apple people. Jack Dorsey didn't work at Square, but he's made no...
at Apple.
He didn't. Thank you. He didn't work at Apple, but he's made no secret of the fact that he emulates and revered Steve Jobs, and so he's doing two jobs, and he's
doing keynotes.
He's doing keynotes, and the design of the device is overtly Apple-like. So that's one example. My favorite example, and it's a different story. It's a controversial topic, which is people have asked the question: well, why are there so few former Apple executives out there in the world running companies? And I've got a bunch of reasons why. We can talk about it if you like. One that is happening is Nest, which is run by Tony Fadell, who was a senior Apple executive, and the Nest device, the smart thermostat, if you haven't seen it, looks like it could easily fit in an Apple store. I have a little section on Nest and Tony in the book, and Tony was really interesting. He shared with me his thinking at this stage of his company's career life, which is I think 2 years old, what he's trying to take from Apple and what he isn't. What he's trying to take is this design aesthetic, this focus on the customer, this willingness to spend money on things that are really important to serve the product, to serve the customer. What he's not taking, he makes a very good observation that's important to this group of people who think that they have to have Apple's success, they have to be just like Steve. So Apple's very difficult with the press. They don't speak freely. That wasn't always the case. Years ago, Steve did speak very freely and sought a lot of publicity.
Sought after covers, right?
Yeah. And so Tony's out there talking to the press, telling Nest's story. And he's also humbler with their channel partners, Best Buy, for example. He doesn't come right out and say this, but he basically implies, we don't tell Best Buy what to do the way Apple does, because we're a lot younger and humbler. And his line is he likens his company to where Apple was with the iPod in 2001, 2002.